If you're just joining us, the program is Hard Facts. It is an abridged version of the show, and we are taking. We already started with Lagos, and we did have Deji Awobiyide, a lawyer, speaking to us about, of course, the consequences, or rather, the implications of what happened yesterday. What we saw play out right before our eyes, and of course, what tomorrow might hold for Lagos, for the polity in general, whether it be for APC, PDP, generally. And does this even strike a chord in Nigerians living in Lagos? Does it change the way that you see things? Does it make you want to change things? Or are you just good with it? As long as you go home and there's something to eat, that's it. I don't know, but we're going to talk about it in a bit. But let's switch gears to Rivers, where Governor Sim Fubara had addressed the state asking for calm. But then there are those who have not necessarily taken the court judgment sitting down. We saw citizens and mostly civil servants raising an alarm, saying, "Look! We're not gonna let this fly. Does it mean that we're not going to have salaries? We're not going to be able to pay our rent? Seizing or putting a stop on the finances of Rivers State does not in any way augur well for the people." This is what the civil servants are saying. Also, there are those who are saying, well, the monies that you share at the end of every month comes from us. If you stop our monies, how about we stop what gives you that money? There's a serious conversation going, but the governor is calling for calm. Let's take a listen to Governor Sim Fubara, and then, of course, Mr. Festus Oguche, who is a constitutional lawyer in Rivers State, is going to join us in a bit to talk about the implications of what's happening in Rivers State. So let's take a listen to Governor Sim Fubara, and when we come back, the conversation continues. All right, let's go.
Our supporters, I know the news that broke out on Friday must have dampened your spirit. Based on what is ahead is more than what we just passed. So, as a human being, I know you feel somehow, but just relax. God has our back. Our back is not on anybody, it's God. I want to thank you for your support and assure you that if there is one person on this planet Earth that will continue to stand by you, I will be that person. I assure you that I will lead you with honor. I will lead you with respect. And I will lead you with integrity. Knowing that when I leave here, I will have questions to answer. If I'm called upon 20 years, 30 years from today, I want to be proud to defend my position. So I thank you and assure you that I will not disappoint you.
There you have it, Governor Simnalaye Fubara of Rivers State assuring the people of Rivers that he will not in any way let them down. Yes, and I'm being joined by a lawyer. Oh, we lost that connection again with Festus Oguche, who's joining us live from Port Harcourt. We're going to try to get Festus back. Now, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the situation where that judgment has been given. The governor had also said that he is going to comply, obviously. He's going to order for fresh elections, but then that they are studying carefully the certified true copy of that judgment from the Supreme Court. We're going to try again to see if we can get Mr. Oguche back with us, else we're just going to call him via telephone and hopefully we can get him. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to try to get Oguche to join us again via telephone. Let's take a quick break. Let me try to get my guest via telephone, and then, of course, we'll start this conversation.
There's a reason why over 1 million people tune into Hot Facts every day. We discuss in-depth stories with sources behind the facts.
The Lagos State High Court
has convicted suspended the Chicago certificate story. It's never going away, is it? Show with stories for the day.
You hear diverse voices and opinions.
And she was meeting her friend with her husband, knowing that.
You should not put happy because there is nothing to happy about.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic the way the country is going.
We distinguish each story accurately with analysis.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, we're going to get our guest via telephone, unfortunately, because his Zoom connection is giving us issues. So we're going to try to talk to him via telephone. I'm guessing the connection in Port Harcourt right now is not so great. Once he picks up, we're going to put him live on the show. So we're looking at what's been happening in Rivers. And hopefully my guest can join the conversation and talk to us in a bit. Okay. We're still trying to get him on the phone. Once we do that, we'll go straight into the conversation. Okay. In the meantime, I'd like to take your thoughts and comments for those of you who are living in Lagos. And of course, you've seen the situation of things and the conversation we've had so far. The numbers for you to call 0201 465 7190. That's 0201 465 7190. And that's for the ladies. For the men, your line is back. So you can now call 0201 277 0993. 0201 277 0993. Join the conversation. We would like to hear from you. 60 seconds is all you have. Go straight to the point. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, Afternoon Lady. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Chris from Ikoyi.
Go ahead.
Quick one. I want to thank the governor of Rivers. You can hear him speaking no foul language. That's how a leader is supposed to talk. And for the Supreme Court, they need to be careful. Dining with these politicians will not do them any good. And I want to thank the lawyer that you speak with first. Those 32 members that stood behind Miranda, you know the woman speaker now?
Miranda.
Miranda. They give all sorts of word against Obasa. Today, look at the turning back. Because, hello?
Go ahead.
Because in the first place, how did they get there? They themselves. Oh, you had to praise the former chairman of the party, BC Okode, Shoba. How did they get there in the first place? It's a slap and shame, like the man said. They don't have shame. All the women lawyer, we are behind Miranda.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. 60 seconds is all you have. Thank you very much for calling, Mr. Chris. We have Festus Oguche joining us via telephone. Mr. Oguche, good afternoon. Sorry, we know that the connection has been doing you in, but go ahead. Tell us what you think about that Supreme Court judgment. I just played a video of the governor asking for calm in the state, but then there are also civil servants who are saying, hey, this freeze that you're putting on the state accounts means that we're not getting salaries, we cannot pay our rents, we can't put food on the table, we can't even go to work. How are the people of Rivers State receiving this? And I know that you live in Rivers. Mr. Oh my goodness. I think that the connection in Rivers is really bad today because it's just not working. While we try to get Mr. Oguche back, I want to take your thoughts and comments on WhatsApp. You can send a message 08095975805. That's 08095975805. Join the conversation. Would like to hear from you. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hi, Maryann. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Zoboli calling from Ikorodu.
Go ahead.
So this is how our politics have degenerated. So this is what it has become, Maryann. When I saw Obasanjo's show of braggadocious attitude and his display that was so brazen, I knew there had to be a higher power to this. But my question is, at what point will this hydra-headed monster of godfatherism stop playing out in our politics? I don't think it can stop. Not because I'm resolving that we can't go past it, but it's obvious. With such display of arrogance, they still decided to put him there, even if he's going to resign on his own volition. I'm even asking myself, is it because a woman replaced him? Is it because the higher powers that be want him there? Whatever it is, our political sphere has turned to toutism and thuggery.
All right.
All I care.
Thank you very much for calling.
We can't continue like this, honestly.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Boli, for calling. We have Mr. Oguche back on the line. Mr. Oguche, did you hear my question before we lost that connection with you?
Yes, I had something like the implications of the judgment and
and how Rivers people are receiving it. Yes,
are receiving it. Incidentally, I've joined you online. But if you want us to make it a telephone talk, we can continue with it.
Yeah, that's not working, and because it's unstable, let's just keep the conversation going.
Very well. Well, some of us are jolted by that judgment coming the way it came and the manner that it was delivered. We had expectations, though. Some of us who are professionals in the field of law understand what the law is all about. And we know that the constitutional issues involved are very fundamental. And these are the regular things we meet in our constitutional law class. So when the judgment came, it was something like a thing from the blues, because we never envisaged that it would go that way, particularly in the area of the defections. Though they say it's not the final judgment, and probably nobody has convinced me that that is an obiter dictum of the Supreme Court. And also in the area of the blockade or the stoppage of the payments of the constitutional entitlements, the sovereign allocations to Rivers State, which I think is an issue that's been settled by a long list of judicial precedents, particularly by the Supreme Court in AG Bendel against AG Federation, AG Lagos against AG Federation, AG Delta against AG Federation, that anything that has to do with statutory allocations accruable to the component units is a matter for the National Assembly, being that it's a provisions of the Constitution, it's within the provisions of the Constitution, and for you to tamper with it in any manner requires an amendment of the provisions of the Constitution. And I don't think any circumstance would arise so long as that component structure is within the Federation that will require or entail or make possible the refusal of its allocations by the state. So we received it with mixed feelings. But it's the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land for now. And we also recall that Justice Chukwudifo Oputa had told us that they are not infallible because they are final. They are final because they are infallible. So that means that they are susceptible to errors, and some of us can make critical comments about some of the decisions they have taken. But I'll say that the decision has not helped matters in any way, because we expected a decision that will calm nerves and stop the crisis that's been going on here since last year, and at least assuage the feelings of the people of Rivers State. But that decision has not done that much to that effect, because there's very big tension here in Rivers State, and we look forward to maybe a more settlement template. Though, like I said, there are constitutional questions, and I don't think constitutional questions can be resolved by political solutions. Though they are resolved within the provisions of the Constitution. And on the issue of defection, the Constitution is very clear about it. On the issue of statutory allocations to Rivers State. The Constitution is very, very clear about it. The principles of law is very clear about it, that you cannot tamper with the resource allocations. It's not a duty of courts, it's the duty of the National Assembly. And that's for the fact that the states exist at their own. The center that they exist at the instance of the states. These have been settled in the precedents of the court that I listed earlier. And for me to accept or maybe reconcile myself with the judgments of the Supreme Court in that area, then I have to also readjust my position in my knowledge of law in matters regarding constitutional supremacy. I have to readjust also in areas of the rule of law, the due process of the law, and also constitutional consistency, for that law, for that decisions with the provisions of the Constitution.
Mr. Oguche, the governor has said that he will comply. He's going to call for fresh elections. And my bigger question is, where's he going to get the money from? Secondly, does this mean that he will have to represent the budget? And he's also asked local government chairmen to hand over to local government officers to hold brief. In the meantime, with all of these things coming to play, just as you have mentioned, what is the end game here? Because there are those who are saying, well, an impeachment might not be far from, the radar.
That's a fantastic question. The thing is that some of us understood that when Femi Falana, or probably, I don't know if he was part of the team of lawyers that represented Fubara.
He was.
At the Supreme Court, when they withdrew that appeal of Motorshaw's decision at the Supreme Court, I was a bit worried. I was wondering, how would you say that because the matter had gone still and the judgment is still subsisting, you can withdraw it because it doesn't have any effect? I didn't agree with that, because if a judgment is delivered, even if it is stupid, even if it is invalid or without jurisdiction, so long as it is subsisting, it is still a judgment of court and is bound to be obeyed. But now what we are saying now shows that that action of withdrawal was not done in the proper sense. At the end of the day, what we have is a situation where the judgment of Motoshaw, which I believe wholeheartedly and completely, without any qualms, that judgment is anachronistic, has come to stay. And that judgment itself was delivered at the time that the gentleman had purported to have left the House of Assembly, and they have defected, and which defection I believe solemnly to the very bottom of my heart it was complete and final. And that's also at the time that the budget had been presented to the three-member House, which I also think is wrong, and it has been implemented. Now, the incongruous situation now is where the members of the House, the renewed House, is asking the governor to present not the 2024 appropriation bill that the Supreme Court ordered, but the 2025 bill. So it tells you that there are lots of things that maybe were left undone by the Supreme Court. And by the way, the issue about their defection is still pending before the Honorable Justice Obile at the Federal High Court here in Port Harcourt, and nothing much has been done to that effect. And I believe that the Supreme Court should have withheld whatever decision it had until that matter came to it comes to it by way of appeal. Okay. So I wouldn't know whether to categorize the decision as an obiter dictum or the substantive judgment of that case, but it has created a web of confusion here. And the House of Assembly here is giving the governor 48 hours to present that budget. I mean, sounds as awkward as it is.
Finally, because I don't have too much time, Mr. Oguche, quickly, you've taken me to my next question, which obviously is the judiciary, who's spinned a web of confusion, in your own words. What does this even say about the rule of law, the judicial system in the country? This is in also tying to what human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi had said about the judiciary, the cash and carry system, and the fact that so many things have been weaved into one, making it such a confusion of sorts in River State. Where does this leave, the judiciary, which is your primary constituency, and where does this leave what we call a democracy and the true rule of law for River State, and of course the states that are watching across the Federation?
Well, I would say that the judiciary has scored very low as far as I'm concerned. It's my primary constituency, but it's not just in Rivers State. We find a lot of defects in the decisions of the courts, particularly the Supreme Court, in election petitions, political matters. The everyday cases that go to court on the family, on land, on chieftaincy are well okay. But when it comes to these ones, you begin to have lots of suspicion about the objectivity and fairness of these decisions. And particularly the presidential election, the governorship elections, and all of that. Now you begin to ask yourself whether this is actually a democratic system we are practicing. And the thing is that the democratic culture is weaved around the competence and the honesty of the judicial system. And when you find a system like that operating below standard, it raises questions as to the integrity of the process. It raises questions as to the sanctity of the judicial system itself. And in this reverse case, I think there's reason to ask a lot of questions. It raise a lot of brows. Like I told you, some of us, we have to go back to either back to law school or maybe readjust our knowledge of law to reflect the new principles and jurisprudence that's turning out from the Supreme Court on constitutional supremacy, on the rule of law, on the due process of the law, and also on the doctrine of separation of powers. Because I know very well that a lot of these issues, if you put it to a standard test, a global standard test, the Supreme Court would definitely fail. I say this with every equanimity. And I wonder if the world will want to reconcile itself with the decisions of the Supreme Court, because some of these principles are global in nature. They are international, constitutional law principles. And that's a very sad thing about what is going on with the judiciary and what the politicians are also doing with the judiciary, interfering with them and making the judiciary lose its integrity and its dignity. But at all times, I believe that the nobility of the judiciary must be established and must be maintained. Even in the days of the military, they had some bit of respect for the judiciary because they stood on their ground for the principles of law, the principles of justice, objectivity, defense. But that's not what's located now, and we begin to see the judicial system going down the drain. One thing you make critical comments about them, they begin to ask you to understand. Yesterday, the chairman of the president of the Bar Association was trying to make case for them that they are overloaded cases, they are overloaded. If the judicial system is right, you will not see election petitions clog the cost list of the courts. There was an election recently in Ghana. No single petition went to the court challenging the process, the electoral process. Some other countries where this occur, it is where you begin to thrive in injustice that people will take advantage of it and think that all they need to do is to participate in an elections process or do something like this and do something like that. At the end of the day, they can get the judiciary under their pockets and put them under their wings and caprices. I think we have a very serious executive height standing when it comes to the judicial system, and that is what is killing the system. At the end of the day, public confidence in the system has gone below standard. I don't know how they're going to resuscitate it, but it needs the entirety of the country to come together for reforms, serious reforms in the judicial sector, because that's where the kernel of our problems are.
I'm tempted to ask the question, who's going to come together and make these reforms if they're beneficiaries of the rot in the system, in the judiciary? But before I let you go, I had a former House of Representative member from Rivers State, from the Ogoni Axis, on my show some time ago, still talking about this Rivers crisis, who said succinctly that Rivers people will not sit back and watch the federal government hold back its resources when they are the ones who majorly contribute to that purse that is being disbursed, and they get a miserly 15% out of all of the monies that they give from their resources.
Yes.
So they're saying, if you shut me down, I'm going to also shut you down. But then the governor has appealed for calm. Do you see the governor's appeal being adhered to all the way from the Ikwere land down to the creeks or to Ogoni land? Do you see that happening?
The governor here commands a lot of respect. He is liked by the people. Originally, nobody, at least we all know what happened during the elections, even though at the end of the day, the Supreme Court upheld his election. We all know that he wasn't really the choice of the people. But because of the hard experience he's been going through, I think he incurred the love of the people, and they have this showing for him that you can say they have full confidence in him. I think the governor's statements had worked like magic, because immediately the judgment was delivered. You know, I'm a man about town, and I noticed the tension that developed immediately. But I understand also that there are some internal dynamics going on to stop any type of crisis from coming up. But the truth of the matter is that the democratic system has not shown itself to be people-oriented. The sovereignty is yet to be in the hands of the people, even though the people have expressed their opinion in diverse ways. And people tell me that there's nothing like there's no provision for plebiscite or referendum in our constitution. You don't have to have referendum or plebiscite written black and white in constitutions. There's nothing like referendum in most of these big democratic systems. It's an integral part of the democratic process that the voice of the people must be heard. Okay. It got to a stage one time, and I made suggestions to it. I think it was at the Port Harcourt end of your station that I said you can put this thing out to the people to decide, to determine, to cast their votes, through a plebiscite or referendum. But it's not done, because it's said. So some persons in Abuja will now begin to. It's just exactly the same thing that's going on in Rivers State, and they have the courts to support them. Okay. At the end of the day, their left hands will be fighting, they'll be brawling all over the place, and the grasses are the ones that suffer.
Mr. Oguche, I have to let you go. I want to say thank you for joining us on Hard Facts. We'll keep our fingers crossed and keep our eyes on Rivers State.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. Well, Lagos, we'll take a very, very short break. When we come back, I want to take all your thoughts, your comments, your WhatsApp messages, your YouTube and your Facebook messages after this break. It's still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're looking at what's been happening in Rivers and in Lagos. Well, Lagos seems to have sorted itself out, but has Rivers? We'll be right back after this break.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Fact. Whether it's politics,
more conversation, more talk, more right after this.
For 3 decades, Chocolat Royal has been at the heart of your sweetest celebrations, creating cakes, pastries, and confections that turn moments into memories. From birthdays to weddings, cozy mornings to grand occasions, we've been honored to bring a little more joy to your life, one delicious bite at a time. As we celebrate this incredible milestone, we want to say thank you to all our loyal customers and friends, our dedicated team members, and our wonderful suppliers who have made this 30 years so special. Here's the 30 years of creating delicious memories and many more to come.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
This is Hard Facts.
Ramadan Kareem to all my Muslim friends. As you pray for Nigeria, because it looks like that's what we really need right now. But most importantly, this is Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'm Maryann Okon, and we're wrapping up because I beg to differ starts in a bit. But let me go to your messages. Someone here says, my name's Tare from, it's very abracadabra of Lagos politics. So my take is Mr. Obasa should just reserve his remaining speech for the gods, because I'm not interested. But Miranda, Madam Speaker, kudos to you. It's a shame the APC as a party okay, but only time will tell, since one man can't decide what happens in Lagos politics. Terry, because your message is long, I'm just going to move quickly. This one here says, good afternoon, Maryann. I will liken Lagos politics to a book where the fool of a person has been written and well illustrated. Same book is picked up by one man, well read, understood, and used in operating against the same person. Thompson, okay. Uche from Sango here says, shame to those elders misleading Simpobara, edging him on to break the law. What does that mean? This one here says, the guns allegedly found in Obas's office, who owns them now? Men that said he was high-handed, but can't stand against him. Rivers is peculiar, says Ayo. Okay. This one says, I have long known that this will happen, like a game of musical chairs. It's a way for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to show Sanwo-Olu that he's only in power in Lagos, but not in control. You can't single-handedly humiliate one of Oga's boys like that. Sanwo-Olu needed to be careful, lest he packs his bag, lest he's paid back for the coup that he used Lagos State House of Assembly guys to carry out. Okay, this is Olushoga from Odonla in Ikorodu. I have 1 more minute. This one says, there's no more news that the institutions that should lead governance or let governance work in Nigeria are almost totally dead. What we have now is the might of personalities over institutions. It's difficult to explain to students of political history whether we have in Nigeria an oligarchy, aristocracy, or even a cultic monarchy. The most shameful history in recent times is the development in Lagos State, where the president of Nigeria, who is supposed to be the champion of and fighter for institution, comes from. I'm sure that's what you wanted to write. It's even a double-barrel shame that we... Okay, Steve, thank you for your message. I don't understand the last bit of your message. This one here says, good afternoon, Maryann. It's an absolute collapse of decency and the rise of slavery, and for Akonde or Shoba, the president, to be involved in this goes to show that what money will do to integrity, or shows what money will do to integrity. What a people, what a state, what a joke. Donald from Lakoi. And this one says, okay, Jude, you can get an answer to that question later. Someone here finally, before I go, says, do you want a Lamborghini? I want. Very funny. He says, and for River State, Fubara is the man. May God give him the wisdom and courage. Victory at the end of the tunnel. Gotta go. I beg to differ. Comes up right now after this break. My name is Maryann Okon. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, MIMIEYO, or just search for Maryann Okon anywhere. And of course, we can have further conversations outside of the show. I beg to differ begins right now.
Ready to climb the corporate ladder of success? Let the stairs show you the way. In today's fast-changing world, success requires more than just hard.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.